What's cracking, everybody? This is the KhaosDubz channel. I'm your host, Chaos, and today we're going to be talking about individual first aid kits, what you need to carry on you, and why, and where you can get it. So, while we're under quarantine, let's get started. Alright folks, so today we're going to talk about individual first aid kits, IFAKs. So basically it's a little first aid kit, pretty small, can basically fit it in the palm of your hand, and something you should carry around with you that carries a bunch of essential items that can help, especially in these times of civil unrest, folks. You never know what's going to happen. Times are getting scarier by the day, and yeah, so let's get started. One thing you should always have, some rubbing alcohol. And a good way to keep medical tape is by wrapping it around something essential like rubbing alcohol, for example. It doesn't take up the space of a tape roll, and it's accessible for you. Now we're going to break into the actual first aid kit. This was in here, but I took it out and added a couple extra things. So first thing you're going to notice is some safety pins. You don't go anywhere without your safety pins, folks. They're good for so many things. And then a tensor bandage. Of course, you can pick up safety pins and a tensor bandage at any local Walmart or pharmacy. Having at least one is good. They do take up a bit of room. They're a little bit bulky, but they're necessary. Another thing that is absolutely necessary is some nitrile gloves, just in case people are allergic to latex. I've got 2 pairs in here. You never know when things are going to get messy, and you're going to want to protect yourself from who knows what, really. Now, I've got a big gauze compress with the no stick side to it there. And these are good for big wounds, stopping bleeding, and not being really sore to take off after the fact. A smaller roll of medical tape, good for smaller uses. And now, a whole bunch of bandages and alcohol pads. Super handy, different sizes, got some big ones, got some small ones, and of course you can pick any of this stuff up at your local Walmart, local pharmacy, folks. Even the dollar store, they carry bandages, they carry alcohol wipes. I got this alcohol bottle at the dollar store, $1.25 or something like that. Some more of these alcohol pads and bandage prep pads to make bandages easier to take off. Adhesive remover wipes as well, so after you take bandages or tape off, there's going to be a giant mess left from them. A couple of smaller gauze pads for smaller injuries. Some Advil, this is important. And of course, if you have a prescription for Tylenol 3s or Tylenol 4s, those are also recommended to carry. In an emergency, they can be the difference between your life and death. The difference between getting out of, say, the bush. I ride a lot of dirt bike, as you guys will see with my other channel, Chaos Bikes. Do check it out, by the way. I'm going to leave a little thing in the blip up here somewhere, I believe it is. You guys can check that out and see what we do, some pretty crazy riding. But it's good to have. Last year I ended up crashing pretty bad at the beginning of the season, and I probably should have gone to the hospital, but I took a Tylenol 4 and we kept riding for the rest of the day. I was riding a 3-wheeler and I flipped down a hill. It was pretty bad, but got home and I was definitely hurting, but without that I think we would have had to end the day early, and it could have been worse. Moving on to the next items here. Just a bit of gauze, good to have, easy to wrap up these smaller gauze pads with over an injury, for example. We're going to get into a little bit more serious stuff here now. Some stitches, folks. Now this isn't necessarily recommended because it is illegal to do medical work on other people, but hey, if you're yourself in a shitty situation and you really are hurt, you can use these stitches to save yourself and possibly get back to help in combination with one of the next things I'm going to pull out. I do want to mention, give you a close-up of these stitches here. There's 2 different kinds. There's silk and there's plain gut. So the gut ones will dissolve eventually in your skin, whereas the silk ones will not. They have to be removed. So it's good to have a variety of these. You can find these on Amazon. They're not that expensive either. You get, I think, 10 or 15 of them for like $20 or $30. They're really not that expensive. And the next thing here, super important for massive wounds. It's a clotting sponge, also known as quick clot. So these will actually stop bleeding on massive trauma wounds and allow you a chance to get to the hospital or save someone's life possibly. These can be wrapped on tightly with your gauze or your non-stick compress, of course, folks. A few more prep pads, alcohol pads for smaller injuries. You want to have a pair of scissors in there, folks, that can cut medical tape cleanly, and don't use these for anything else. Use them strictly for medical tape. It'll make your life easier when the time comes. A pair of tweezers is another super important thing to have, and these ones have a really fine tip on them, and I would recommend that for a few reasons. You can get really tiny slivers out, whether that's glass, metal, wood, or if you have a wound that's quite damaged where you're going to need to use the clotting sponge or stitches, for example, you're going to want to get most of the crap out of there. So a rinse with water may not do it. You may have little bits of gravel or wood or God knows what in there that you're going to want to pull out. So the finer the better. They're not going to be the type of tweezers that you would use for plucking hair. They're different, folks. They can be found, again, on Amazon, any medical pharmacy, anything like that. And they should be fairly inexpensive. Now, this is kind of a crappy one, but a tourniquet is very important to have, because if you're losing a lot of blood, if an artery's been hit, a tourniquet may be the difference between life and death. A clotting sponge is not going to save your life in that situation. You need to stop the bleeding, and even a simple tourniquet like this, which can be found for, you know, a few pennies on the internet, is going to be better than nothing. You could also use rope, paracord, and a piece of stick, or a t-shirt and a stick, and you would want to turn the stick after wrapping the t-shirt to keep it super, super tight. I'm not going to go into all the details with tourniquets, folks, but you don't want to leave them on forever. They can cause damage. There's a certain time to use them and a certain time not to use them. That's stuff that you're going to have to learn. A couple other things I've got is just some polysporin that I packaged up. It looks like one of them did explode in the bag, but that's okay. I mean, there's still polysporin in here to be used if necessary. And that's why I don't carry like a big tube in here, because it'll just explode exactly like that, and then it's basically gone to waste. And basically the final thing in my kit here, folks, it's something I created. You can read about this online, but if you're in an emergency situation, you're going to want to stay hydrated, especially if you can't get to help soon. So this works on a three-prong effect. So it's going to help hydrate you, it's going to help give you more energy, and it's also going to help keep your mouth from getting dry. With a dry mouth, you're extremely ineffective, and it's going to cause a shitload of problems in a real life or death survival situation. So this consists of some sea salt, a little bit of ground habanero, cayenne pepper works as well, and some sugar. And that's going to allow you to get your electrolytes if you need. So you just can put like a pinch of this in your mouth, or a couple pinches, like maybe a teaspoon worth in like a bottle of water, and just swish it around in your mouth as you drink it down, and it'll help immensely in your condition. And a few other things that I wanted to mention. So you can pick up those clotting sponges online, or you can pick them up at Canadian Tire, Cabela's, any type of hunting, fishing store. They'll have that kind of stuff. Yeah, and what else was I going to say here? Oh yes, so emergency blankets are another item you may want to consider carrying. They take up very little real estate, and in the case of trauma, someone may be in shock, and it would be good to help keep their body temperature up. So an emergency blanket in that situation could be clutch. As well, because we're in times of civil unrest, folks, you never know what's going to happen, and it's kind of freaky, but you should carry tampons, because if anyone you know does encounter a gunshot wound, or you know, say you're walking down the street and some crazy shit happens and someone's got a gunshot wound, you can stop the bleeding with a tampon, and you may be able to save someone's life. So yeah, do consider that. And while we're under quarantine, folks, we're gonna end this video here. Keep your lid on, you know, keep your shit together, folks. Don't be freaking out. Be calm. Try to take care of yourself, take care of your emotions. Tend to yourself. It's the most important thing, folks. We lack a lot of self-care in times like this. Don't sit around and watch the news all day and freak yourself out. It's not healthy. It's not helping anyone. Check in on your family and friends. Stay inside. And I'm going to keep making content for you folks. I've got some more videos about things I think you should have in emergency preparedness and some other stuff like that. So we're going to be coming out with a few more videos this week regarding that. And yeah, take care, folks. Stay safe and wash your hands. We'll catch you next time. Peace out. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest content and see more from me, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment down in the bottom there. Catch you next time.